Hi, this is Cristina Patwa, CEO and founder of Enroot Sparkling Cold Brew Tea, and you're watching Rise and Shine with FilAm Creative.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. And for the 44th time, it's 44, right?
Correct.
I want to confirm that. It's 44,
yes,
right?
44.
Okay, all right. Because I don't want to botch this. All right, one more time. All right, here we go.
We're keeping that in.
Yes, we're keeping it in. Here we go
I
again.
hope so.
Take
Ryzen,
two.
Take two. Take two, Ed, and go.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. And for the 44th time, let's rise and shine. So here they are. It's Ed and Rex and Roni.
Woohoo! Yes, Roni, that is
Club.
44. Yes. Wow. And maybe the bigger number this week, 5. This is
number
the
5.
5th and final episode. We hope you've been enjoying all 5 of the episodes from Women's History Month. We're so happy to close the show with a great guest, Cristina Patwa, who we're going to meet in a few minutes. But, you know, Rex, Roni, this has been an inspiring, a fun 5 weeks in March. I don't know about you guys, but that's how I feel. It's been a great month.
You know, again, I'm just very, very happy with the breadth of guests that we were able to get throughout this whole month, just from entertainment to politics and now to a guest that is just kicking butt in both the entertainment and media spaces and also in the business space. And so I love the variety of guests that we've been able to get this whole month. And I hope that the people watching, especially the females out there, for our female viewership, I hope they get inspired and empowered that, yes, you can do this. And that was kind of like our theme from our last episode. You know, go ahead, Roni, you can go ahead and, you know.
Oh, I mean, there's going to be the last 5 episodes. I want our fantastic editor, Jeremiah, to put together just a montage of me losing my mind over all of the incredible and inspiring guests we have, just like me screaming and snapping and yelling and almost losing my composure just because, I mean, you know, women's history and Women's History Month and just having this time to celebrate the intersection that is being a Filipino woman and a Filipino woman who, like, we can exist in so many spaces, do so many things. And it's truly inspiring for somebody like me. So I think everyone who's been on so far, and shout out to all of those who are out there doing the thing for the future.
No, absolutely. And if you've enjoyed these last 5 weeks, we invite you to go back and check out episode 40 with Cuento Comics, the first Asian American all-female comic book. That's episode 40. Episode 41, our Sundance winner. We've had Emmy winners, we've had mayors, but we never had a Sundance winner. So episode 41, Roni and I got to interview a Sundance winner, Martika Escobar. Episode 42, we celebrated St. Patrick's Day, and we also talked about women in STEM and romance novelist Mia Hopkins. So a lot of that. And then, of course, just last week, we learned that not only did we get to have our first mayor on the show, but we learned that Roni is going to run for mayor.
That's right.
In a few years, and we learned
That's right.
that, and we're
We're
going to be on our team. And it looks like our good friend Melissa Ramoso, the mayor of the city of Artesia, is going to be her campaign manager in a few years.
Right.
So we learned that, and of course, this week we're closing the show with heavy hitters. We've got a heavy hitter coming up. We've got a, and I got to say, you can always tell when I drink from the cup that my throat is killing me. I feel like we need to ask our guest today to just mail us her great beverages, because I'm telling you, I'm excited about this guest today, guys. This is going to be a great way to close Women's History Month, because we haven't had, Rex, have we had an executive of this stature,
Mm.
behind the scenes business
Mhm.
development. This is a different kind of guest for us, and we're really excited about this, right?
I think that's part of the reason why I'm so excited with the breadth of guests that we've had this whole month, because we've always had people in front of the camera, behind the camera, but in terms of an entrepreneur that's out there in the entertainment and media spaces, in both spaces, and making things happen within both spaces at the same time. And again, I'm just so happy that we will be giving the rise and shine to her story. And so I'm just glad that our audience is going to be able to meet her. And hopefully, again, to you, Roni, I hope our female viewership will get inspired. And hopefully, we're going to just be giving rise and shine to all of our female trailblazers out there.
Shine it up, guys. Shine it up.
Shine it up.
All right. Well, what do you think, Rex, Roni? Should we bring her out? Is it time?
I can't wait.
Sure.
All right.
Sure.
Do it now.
All right. So here's the part where if you're listening to us on Spotify, you don't notice anything different. But if you're watching us on YouTube, you're like, why is Ed drifting this way? Because he's reading his notes because his memory is really bad. But
we don't have budget for a teleprompter, so
exactly, we don't have.
But we could, if you'd like to make a donation to FilAm Creative at our Venmo at FilAm Creative, help us keep the lights on.
Roni, we don't have a budget anymore for spelling that, right?
No, you're gonna have to look that up.
All right. Got it. All right. Well, I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and bring out our guest today. So our guest today is the CEO, founder, and board member of a drink called Enroot. And if you haven't had it yet, Rex knows what I'm about to say. What's the matter with you?
What's the matter with you?
Why have you not had this drink? What? Get out. Well, you know what? No, watch the show first.
Watch the show first.
Then once you finish the show, get out of here and go to the store and buy it, or go to their website, and she's going to tell you where to order it and all that good stuff. But get a load of this. Here's her bio. Listen to this. She's the CEO of Enroot, the award-winning wellness beverages that she founded alongside some guy named Brad Pitt and Don Fogelman in partnership with, get a load of this, the James Beard Foundation. So this is like major credibility here. She's a board member of the El Rey Network. And some of us know that the El Rey Network was the home of the great show Lucha Underground for all wrestling fans out there. Shout out to Manny Mars, who was a guest on our show. Watch his great episode. I don't remember the episode number, and I'm too lazy to look it up right now.
We'll link it. We'll put it in the show notes.
Exactly.
Yeah,
the
show notes.
But so El Rey Network is home of Lucha Underground. She started that with my goodness, with some guy named Robert Rodriguez. Get a load of that.
Yeah.
And, my goodness, she's the executive producer of several minority inclusive content, like From Dusk Till Dawn, the series. She's formerly the co-CEO of Factory Made and the worldwide head senior vice president of strategic planning and business development for WME, where, among other things, she helped raise money to create things like media properties like you might have heard of Transformers, G.I. Joe, My Little Pony. So all those things. And she was also previously the director of business development for the Disney ABC television group, worked in financial planning and distribution strategy for 20th Century Fox. I'm tired from saying all these credits because she's just that much. You know what? Jeremiah might have to bleep me. She's just a badass. Wow.
She's kind of a big deal.
She is a big deal. So I tell you what, enough of me babbling, enough of Rex and Roni. Let's bring out our guest this week. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together. Cristina Patwa. Thank you. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor. I'm grateful for all you do for the community. It's beautiful.
We're thankful for all you do with the community. I mean, I want to read it again, but it's a hefty list.
Thank you so much. You know, I don't, when people remind me of how much work it is, I also get tired and I'm like, how old is she? Like 85? But I think, you know, being Filipinos, we work hard and we just kind of, that's like the one thing we know is we could outwork people, you know, and then a little bit of confidence, I think at the right time really helps too. but I do have to say that's very much from our culture, which is super cool to hear, because it sounds like you've had amazing people that you've gotten to hear their stories as well.
And, you know,
I
maybe,
mean,
sorry, maybe we can start there. You know, you were born and raised in the Philippines, and then you moved to America. Talk about your story from, you know, starting from the Philippines and then coming here to the United States.
Which province though, Chris? Which province?
From Davao, Buhangin, Davao City.
Davao. Okay.
Yeah.
province
Right.
check.
Province check.
We should have a
Yeah,
graphic
hi.
province check.
Yes, dirt roads and
Hashtag.
yeah, like the fourth Carabao from the dirt road. You know, it's like, yeah, it's like a small rural.
We started from the
rural
dirt roads,
town.
now we're here.
Yeah, from Davao, and I grew up there. I was in the Philippines until I was 8. You know, I was born in 1980, so it was a tumultuous time. I think that you know, coming here was scary and traumatic, but it was also such a blessing, I think, you know, which is so many of our Filipino-American journeys and stories, kind of the ones to come and migrate and, you know, have to relearn an entirely new culture and, you know, redefine kind of your identity in that way. So our family did not expect to leave. One night we were held at gunpoint by
Oh, wow.
by a local group, a local militia,
Mhm.
you know, from the mountains that came
Mhm.
down. Kidnapping
Wow.
kids had become the thing.
Right.
And so my brothers and I were targeted, and I never forgot that trauma, the visual of it, because I was old enough to remember it. And so my parents were like, there's no way. We, you know, they left immediately first. My brothers and I went with a tita who's a very close tita of mine, Mommy Lang, in Manila. And like
Shout out to
Filipino
Tita.
family, yeah, you take care of each other. You know how
Yeah.
it is with
Oh,
that's what's so great about our community. And then eventually, you know, the kids could come over, but it was Flushing, Queens. It couldn't get as more like it went from like tropical jungle with no roads
Wow.
to like all concrete,
Concrete,
you know,
yeah.
all right. Like New York City, you know, in
Wow.
Flushing, Queens. And so it was two very different things, you know, very kind of a very difficult early childhood for me, you know, right at the onset.
And when and what age was that you moved to
I
the
was 8.
States?
Yeah, I was 8 when I got here, you know, and so I credit actually the reason why media, I think, felt fulfilling in my career in some way was I do credit like I Love Lucy, you know, seeing Ricky Ricardo or learn English, you know, like all the jokes about him learning English so that I wouldn't feel self-conscious as a kid, you
Right.
know, or like the comedy in Three's Company, you
Oh
know,
my
because
gosh.
they're so goofy and so not
Yeah.
perfect. And so then it's like, oh, okay, I don't have to take myself seriously. I'm still like learning, you know, I TV at the time had such a special place for people who didn't know American culture. Like that
Yeah.
was my, you know, like I didn't know a lot of, you know, just, you know, it wasn't something we had planned. So yeah, it kind of came full circle, you know, for me in that way.
That's incredible. I think your story, I believe I've done a little bit of research on it because my family immigrated here too. And I believe you coming here at the age of 8, you're considered like a 1.5 generation. So it's like you have your foot in almost both cultures, and to kind of like relearn it. And then of course, you know, that little thing we call trauma that happened over there due to the political unrest. It was a wild time, guys, like not to be taken lightly.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I think for a while growing up, maybe I remember in college, you know, I went to Boston U, and there's such
Mm.
that was the first time I had known that you could have like Filipino groups and
Yeah.
association, you know, find and like
Yes.
these collegiate support groups.
Yes.
And I remember people talking about that, like, what is my identity when I don't feel like I fit in either one? And I was like, oh, I didn't know other people could feel that way. Like, I didn't know that was a common emotion that you could feel. And then so I don't know, I just kind of felt like, okay, at some point then maybe it's up for us collective, us people like you and me, we can define what it is to be Filipino American. We can figure out, we can be the pioneers that can trailblaze what's possible, you know, how to be this creative, what you guys are doing, you know, how to find confidence in being that, you know, having both, and you know, and knowing when I go back to the Philippines that I won't get the best deal anymore at the markets, you know, because they can hear it in my accent, and knowing when I'm here that clearly I'm different too. So, you know, so then what is that, and how do you find joy in that, I guess, and define that?
Hey, did you know that you can make a tax-deductible donation to us? Check it out. Rise and Shine is produced by FilAm Creative, and we're an official registered nonprofit organization. So if you like programming like Rise and Shine, why don't you Venmo us a couple of bucks, some quid, and we'd really appreciate it. So you can Venmo us at FilAm Creative. That's at FilAm Creative. And hey, thanks for watching Rise and Shine.
So we have a superhero origin story that's happening here. Can we start moving into what's like some of the first things you did, or how you got into the plethora of things that you've accomplished? Like, what's the first thing? What was baby Christina's like, I'm gonna do this first?
So I think my Lola, my grandmother, I called her Mami Pami, she just passed away. So I hope not to cry on this, because really it should be fun and light.
Yeah.
But you know, she just
Big
passed
ups to
away.
Lola.
Yeah, and I think you know, I had a Lola who was very restless. Like, she just needed to do a lot of things. And so she was, you know, she started a little farm. She had a jeepney company. She had the little stores, like the little stalls. She did a beauty salon. Like, anything she was interested in, she would bring food from her farms to the nuns and the monks for the schools. Like, anything she could put her hands in, she would do. And that used to scare me growing up, because she was so matapang. She was so strong, you know, and I felt quieter as a child. I felt shyer as a child. Like, I was just naturally more introverted in that way. And so my parents, when they moved here, they were accountants. And you kind of, you know, being, you know, in survival mode, and you know, just migrating over here, you kind of have to do that. So myself and my brother right after me were both accountants too, by trade. I know math cold, I know cash cold. You know, it's like, it's a great technical foundation for anybody who might be interested in business, because most people are afraid of it. And it doesn't mean you can't be creative. It actually means you can be as well, but you just have this great, like, piece of equipment in your armor where you
That's right.
can go to the numbers.
Right.
It's such a great skill. And so I was around my dad starting his tax practice also here in the US, and most of his clients were Filipino, so I got to see what their jobs were, and
Right.
how, you know, how they look at, you know, how they look at their finances, how they want to save and things like that. And eventually I went to college for accounting and MIS, because I thought tech would be interesting to at least know of at the time.
Right.
And so that's where I initially kind of got my, like, foundational educational training.
Oh, wow. Okay. So then, building upon that, because, you know, I always say to people, you know, we're all trying to build our toolboxes, you know, because as we go through life, or as whatever profession we go through, we all have our own toolboxes and stuff. And some tools are from different areas of professions and stuff. And so I guess my question to you though, Chris, would be like, okay, you've got this wonderful technical, you know, I think Filipinos should be natural in math. That's just me personally.
I
you
mean,
know.
they should be, but some of us don't get that gene in our brains.
Teacher. So.
Yeah. So I'm just really interested then how your transition, if it's really much of a transition then from having this math technical background into the entertainment media space. I just want to know how that transition started, how that origin started. And again, it's probably, you know, one of those lucky accidents or lucky surprises or something like that. But I just love our audience would know how that happened or how it manifested itself.
Yeah, I think my Filipino-American upbringing here, you know, from 8 to my
Present.
formative years, you know, to college, is not dissimilar from probably most of you guys, in the sense that I was around a lot of karaokeing, you know, a lot minus one tapes.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like what's so great about Filipinos, I love that you brought that up, Rex, is we can have technical tools, like we can compete in that space if we choose to. We can outwork and figure it out if we had to. And then we will also play the minus one and all start singing and dancing together. There's like a relief, and we grow up in a creative environment that we may not know, but that was kind of around us, like guitar playing from my dad, you know, like you know, my uncles and my dad had like a Beatles cover band.
Oh my God. I think all of our uncles did. I think all of our uncles did back home.
My dad definitely wanted to be in a Beatles cover band.
Yeah. So you know all the songs, you know, Dream, you know, you know, Yesterday, you grew up around that, you know, like, you know, the songs. And so even I love dancing, and I always tell people my first real startup experience was starting a dance group in college, you know, like having this dance group in college. Yeah, because you have to figure out how to pay for the things you need. So where will you get the money? I guess we should have a show and sell tickets. That's revenue. And like, and now we have to market it. So can we get the radio DJ to promote it? Yeah, like you kind of learn all the parts on a smaller scale. And a lot of my fellow dancers were Filipinas too, and Filipinos. And so in a weird way, it was kind of always around me, but I didn't have the courage to take risks until after my first real job. I had a stint in Italy to try nonprofit, but then I realized, I'm not working hard enough to live in Italy, like live this magical life in Italy. Like it's too early in my career. I need some stripes under my belt. So I ricocheted to Wall Street and worked at Deloitte to help with some mergers and acquisitions was really most of my work. And that's where I felt like it was a grind, right? New York City, you know, 80 to 100-hour weeks, you work hard, you play hard, you barely sleep, you're always on. And as I started, and my way, because of, you know, Roni, because of the childhood trauma, my psyche at the time was, if I fail, we go back to the field. Like we don't have backups. Yeah, like we don't have, like if we don't get a job. So it was high stakes, all or nothing. I didn't know that you could like get a B or get a C, you know, and you'd be fine, you know, like I thought
it's one or the other. Yes,
it's either extreme. Either we figure out how to like make it great, or it's complete failure and we go back and we don't know what our like everything's upended again. So there was,
and it's your fault.
Afraid.
And it's your fault.
And it's all on me. Yeah. There was this fear. And so same with working in Wall Street. I didn't know like you could be okay. You know, like I had to really work, and I needed to be like the top, they rank you like top 10%. I'm like, if I don't make that, it would be over. So, so it wasn't until I started to look into business schools when I said, you know what, like, what if I got a B? Would the world end? Would I die? Would our family fall apart? Would it really upend? You know, but that was late. I'm a late bloomer. Like that was, you know, my late 20s where I was like, wait a second, you know, something's not right here. And so it wasn't until I went to business school and I had applied to Stanford and UCLA, and I got into both, and I made the tough choice of going to UCLA because I wanted to pursue media and entertainment. I wanted to, for the first time, be able to feel like I wasn't making a decision out of fear, but making a decision for what started to feel more authentic, like who am I really and what feels authentically me. And so that was really my first toe dip into taking on more risks in my career and not always doing what I should be doing or what, you know, what is expected of me to do, but to really really feel like, can I get more in control over my own, my own path, at this stage.
And can I like just sidebar into like these feelings that you're feeling, the way that you like broke that down for us? I feel like a lot of Filipino-American women do deal with those type of like feelings too, where it's like, I need to be perfect or else, I need to do this or else. And then the idea of you taking that narrative and telling yourself that I need to start making decisions not out of fear, because I feel like for me, all my decisions are based on either fear or vengeance. So like it's like, why can't we just let ourselves be happy? And I think that's like where you're like, and please tell me, like, that's where your mind needed to be to take that next step.
Fear, I love that you brought up fear and vengeance are such great motivators, right? They make you get up and fight. This is why we talk about how lucha, right? Like they're such great motivators to like get up and fight. You're not done yet, like get up and do this. And then the question becomes is, what if you are motivated by joy, your own joy or your own peace? What would that look like for you? And that was, that didn't really happen until my 30s, where I started to explore that for the first time,
Oh, hey, I know what you're doing. You're sitting there liking what we're doing over here. So do me a favor, hit that like button, add a comment. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. Tell me what you feel. What are you waiting for? Do it now.
So Chris, looking at your story, you moved to Southern California. Talk about, how El Rey came about. Talk about how the network came about.
Yeah, sure. So I, after business school, I had worked at Disney. And then from there, I had met my, I think 15 years now, we've been working together, my business partner, John Fogelman. And we're nothing alike. We couldn't be more different. I mean, the great partnerships, you guys bring such different things, right? So like some of the great partnerships are people who are nothing like you. And he, while we were at William Morris, we did amazing work with Hasbro, building these film and TV franchise. And I didn't want to leave, but he's a little older than me. And so he was kind of itching to start something entrepreneurial. And I was feeling like, hold on, I didn't go this far in all of my education to become what my grandmother was, like to have to like be an entrepreneur. No, like, I don't want to do that. I want to work with big companies like Disney, like Hasbro, these things. Like, I don't want to do that. And, and to John's credit, he would not give up. He sat through, and actually we worked through what are the things that make me fearful of being an entrepreneur. Funding, always, right? Because these things fail.
Sure.
Talent, hiring talent, and all of it. Like the list of things you can go through for why startups fail. And to his credit, with each one, he's like, then we're gonna attack each one, and we're gonna figure out how to do those things and set up our company in the right way. And so to be able to do that 15 years later is amazing, because I always had my luggage ready just in case,
It's real.
As an entrepreneur, you kind of have to. So, and so when we first started Factory Made and had the opportunity to now start companies that weren't tied to a client, like Hasbro was a client, like could be companies we wanted to start. John and I were thinking about, well, what will motivate us to get up in the morning? If it's not fear or vengeance, or money, what would actually get us up in the morning? And I, at the time, this when we started the company, it was 12 years ago. I really wanted to do more in the minority driven space. I mean, just because now you guys know my story and how I had to learn what it meant to be Filipino American, kind of the coming into my own was happening. And I wanted to tell more stories like that and find funding for that, because as you guys know, the difficulty for funding minority led content, it's, especially 12 years ago, it's difficult. Most people don't invest in that, right? That's not, there's still a roadblock. And so, So we wanted to build, a destination, a studio, and a network that could showcase more of that. And we knew there was only one person who could do it in Robert Rodriguez. He's actually the only US born Latino American director still after 25 years that has done it. For whatever reason, there hasn't been anyone else, that kind of crossed over. And that's always bothered him because he has 5 kids who are all wildly creative. And he's written books to kind of share to people. This is how we do it. Like, this is the exact, you can follow exactly how to do it. And it's always bugged him. And so he and Quentin Tarantino are kind of known in Hollywood for saying no to any TV and saying no to anything in general, because they kind of like to do their own original thing. And so I sat down with my team and I said, listen, he's going to say no. He's going to say no. He always says no. Let's get used to him saying no. But let's come up with all the 200 reasons for why he should say no and build an answer and a plan for that. So that when we have our moment with him, which was like at 11 p.m. after he did a casting session, we caught him at his hotel and like pitched him at the lobby, and so here we are. Literally, I'm going through like why we want to do this, and at the end of it, he's tall and he wears this cowboy hat, so I couldn't see his reaction as he's looking down at our plan and our presentation. And at the end of it, he lifts up his head and his cowboy hat, and I could see he's teary-eyed, and this like macho 6 foot, like he's teary-eyed about El Rey. And he didn't ask any questions. He just said, we're gonna do this. We're doing this. We're gonna do it. And he signed the day he signed, his kids, I remember Rianne and his daughter was like running around, like they were all running around, like the day he signed to do it together. And so it just felt so purposeful, like, and to feel that, I was like, this is joy for me. I feel it, and this is the feeling I want to follow for the rest of my career. This is purposeful and fulfilling in a way that fear and vengeance never made me feel that way before, and so it was a feeling I had to follow. And El Rey has been so rewarding because I have gotten to see so much talent where we start off with literally they live in a garage and they're afraid to shoot with Robert or be in front of Robert, and they panic or freeze. And then now they're the villain in Terminator, or they're in the Fast and Furious franchise. Like they grow up so fast. I'm like, you were part of El Rey and you were scared, and now you're like owning it and your confidence is there. And it's just, I feel like a mom. Like I have one daughter, but I feel like I have 80 other children that like, started with us, at different, with Lucha. So many went on to build these important careers and to inspire so many others that, to feel like I had a part in giving them the shot to be able to showcase who they are. It's like so rewarding, like some days I'm like, that's a job. Like I'm getting paid. Like this is my job. That's amazing. To feel like I'm a part of this El Rey community. And so everything we built since then has something purposeful or community driven. It's a feeling. It starts with a feeling for me, to be able to put my efforts behind something that means so much.
When you're in those rooms where people are not receptive to diversity programming or things that are championing more diverse creators and content, like are you allowed to like say like, can you give us just a hint or something? That what do people say in those types of meetings?
Most of the time they want to cut the budget down by half, 40%, because they think minority content is cheaper. And should be cheaper to make. They automatically assume it's a niche audience, so they can't monetize the same way. And so our job is to elevate the content. And everything I do, I always want to elevate the brand or the experience, empower it, make it feel cinematic, even on a low budget, because we're going up against so many people who genuinely believe that we have to stay low budget, and and I think that's the real challenge in those rooms, is getting them to believe. And what's great is now you have, Lin-Manuel was part of
Yep.
something we build in El Rey called Latitude, and he and Robert, are dear friends through this. And you have this great group of like this new guard of us, the collective us, who are saying like, no, my story is just as universal as James Bond. He's British and the whole world accepted that.
Mhm.
And why can't you accept that, Spy Kids, are Latino spies? Like it's the same specificity,
Yep.
or Encanto,
Mhm.
is about Colombia in the same way any family, The Sound of Music is from from Europe,
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
so that's the real challenge, is getting investors to understand, or to see and to believe, and really ultimately put their money where their mouth is, to believe that the money will come, because the stories will also resonate, like that specificity actually is deeper and more meaningful. And those stories need to be told, that it's okay to take that risk with those stories, and to trust that that it will find its audience, and there will be people who will champion this kind of programming.
You talk about story, we've talked about narrative a lot in our show. And, I think what's so fascinating about a guest like you is that, a lot of times, we're interviewing an actor, a filmmaker, a director, a writer, and they have a different vantage point because they're trying to talk to somebody like you who wants to green light their project. And I think there's we've talked about your story, your origins, and a lot of people of color, a lot of Filipino-Americans, so many of us have that narrative of like, well, I wanted to be a writer, an actor, but my parents want me to be a nurse. They want me to be a doctor. They want me to be an accountant. And I think that, I just think about, I replay that in my mind of the actor having that story. And then I think to myself, how interesting would that be? The actor going to, or the filmmaker trying to get funding, trying to get something greenlit, and they're struggling just at home with their parents, talking about their craft and their family, and their family's like, no, you need to go to medical school. And then to have the conversation, well, I met this person named Chris, and she's an accountant. She has the financial background. I mean, these are the kind of things that are not in that typical story that so many Asian Americans relate to. So I think, what you're doing is so fascinating because you have a different background, but yet you also see the artist side of the story to greenlight those stories so that we can have different perspectives, different narratives being introduced.
Yeah, I actually am very good at the accounting, the math, the financial part of things, and that's always my entry point. But my soul just falls in love with the creative part, because it's like when I told you guys, like watching you guys, like these are real human beings with a lot of heart on the other side, and I can't help but absorb that energy. And it just, I don't know, it's a beautiful thing to be able to feel like you can be a part of that and share that with other people that have a shared feeling of something that you understand, I see you, you're not alone, you see me too, right? And we're going to
Ooh.
figure this out together. We're going to put all our best skills together. I'm good at this part,
Yes.
not good at writing stories and doing this. Not good. That is, Robert, you do that. Like we're all good at different parts, but we have this
Exactly.
shared goal together to do this. So I think you're right there. And yes, I feel for a lot of people who I know that pressure, because you feel so alone. You feel
Yeah.
alone in figuring out, then you're constantly second guessing yourself, which,
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
yeah, that's like the
At
nature
least
of
3
taking a risk.
times right when
And
I wake up.
and I think that when, imagine a world where we get to a place where the Filipino family, the Asian American family is having these types of conversations, but then we also know that there's so many executives who work in Hollywood, in the media. I mean, if we got to a place in the narrative where there's more Cristina Patwas in the conversation, then that also helps the dream at home when Filipino mom and dad, the immigrant, are trying to, they're trying to poop on their kid's dream of, now, you need to make money. You need to get a 9-to-5 job. And now, so I just think that, somebody like you has this fascinating, you're on both sides of the coin here. You can help the creative, but you also know, well, we got to raise some money to make this happen. So I think, that's where somebody like you is so important. And, it's certainly inspiring for us to be able to talk to somebody like you. And it's got to be rewarding on your end to be able to help be, as Rex alluded to, you're like the incubator for a lot of these things that are going to get green lit.
I will say, Ed, it's kind of funny because more recently, right? Because I'm a mom and I have a daughter who's turning 8 years old, and so other moms and even older moms, the titas, they'll come to me and they'll be like, so, huh? Like, it's like shocking to them, right? Like, because it's not a typical, like, I didn't stay an accountant, like, it's not a typical thing. And like, oh, you're doing this with all these people, like, oh, like, like they kind of don't understand it, but they're intrigued because they're kind of like, oh, you figured it out. And then immediately they will cut to, oh, but my child, like, here's what's wrong with my child. Can you help me fix it? Like, they think like I have the answer or something. They're like, oh, yung anak ko masyadong hyperactive, ganyan, or like hindi, like, that doesn't study, or like my child doesn't study, or whatever, is too like
I've
all
heard
over
that
the place.
before.
Like, what, like, immediately they're like oversharing with me, and and I try, and I understand. I think parents come from a place of fear. Most of our parents, they just want, they just want us to be okay, and and as a default, they're kind of, as a result, they're kind of putting a box around us to try to keep us safe, when we're so yearning to go beyond the box. And so I try to respond to them. I say, that's wonderful. That's wonderful, Tita. It sounds like you're letting him experiment with who he can become one day. And guess what? I didn't do that till I was 30. It's wonderful that he's doing that at 11. That's wonderful that at 11 or 13, like, you're letting him, because I did that late, and I would have loved to experiment, with my identity a little earlier, but I figured I eventually got there. He'll get there.
Yeah.
Okay, we all do. You just have to give each kid the rope. Like, he feels the pressure. He knows. You don't have to. He understands.
You don't have to remind him.
Yeah, you don't have to. Pressure's there.
I love how you're like you are like, you become, once you reach a certain level of success, you become your family's like default expert. But I'm like, whatever this thing is, you're like, okay, yeah, sure. So I want to talk to you. So we're in the media space. We got the movie stars on there. We got a whole network. So, and then we pivot to the product space. Now, you mentioned earlier that you're like, I don't want to do this entrepreneur thing. But now we have pivoted to the beverage space. I want to talk about Enroot. I want to hear, like, how did that come up?
You need a better drink here.
Yeah, I was like,
I'm send you guys.
tea.
Please send me your addresses. I would love to send you guys products. See what you think.
Thank you.
For sure.
I'm a huge tea drinker too, so I want all of the things.
Me too.
Okay, yes. Please tell us about it. While we sip the tea, please spill the tea.
Oh yeah. So it actually was a happy accident, to your point, Ed. I think you talked about happy accidents. So we have a couple of businesses. We help Brad with. My partner John has known Brad for 25 years. And because John's been involved in so many movies, so many directors, etc. And so Brad had one of the things we had looked at with Brad on doing is taking his Rosé Miraval and kind of expanding it as a brand in the food and beverage category. And Miraval had become this, one of the best, if you've ever tasted it, one of the best beautiful rosés. I personally think it's what made brosé okay. Like,
it's
like,
so delicious.
Yeah. It kind of, yeah. And so it made so it was really his idea actually to explore, doing something in the non-alc wellness space that could be as beautiful and have the integrity the way a wine would when you're having a beautiful meal together. And we were just doing that. We were having a beautiful meal together, the three of us, and he came up with this idea. And of course, me being the accountant, I was like, oh, beverage is low margin. I don't want to do it. These are all the reasons we would fail. Like, kind of trying to pass on
Bullet
the
points.
idea. Yeah, and I think the guy's genuinely great at. He's like, he doesn't really take no. I guess he doesn't hear no that often, and so he, he kind of really kept pitching and holding on to the idea, and then he brought up, and he's like, it hasn't really been done in this space in a beautiful way. What if we got real experts that could craft it for us? So this idea of our friends at the James Beard really came from his instinct of like, how, if it could really feel like a gorgeous bottle of wine that, that when you sip it with the right meal and have that moment, it's just a wonderful experience. So that's when we decided, okay, let's ask the James Beard, let's ask our friends there. We've done some advocacy work with the James Beard before. I'm a huge foodie and fan in general. And and my grandmother had become she's older. So we knew she was kind of reaching her end stages. And so there was just something about this idea, as chefs happen to be moving towards farm to table and knowing their farmers and caring about soil health and environmental impact. Some of the things I took for granted and thought were lame growing up, that I was revisiting that, late in my late 30s, and having a real sense of gratitude and enlightenment. I went back to school to get trained in sustainable agriculture before exploring whether or not Enroot might be interesting. And then I came back to Brad and John and I said, if we do it, I'd want to do it in this way. The things my grandmother was actually doing are things that are sustainable. Us wrapping our mangoes in the Philippines, I did not know was to keep from herbicides, pesticides, chemicals, was true organic farming. And so that we wouldn't hurt our farmers, we wouldn't hurt ourselves. Some of these things that we were doing that were so in touch with nature that I had kind of gotten away from living here in New York and the States and all of that. I was seeing it with a fresh perspective, that it was something to actually be valued. And there's something really humbling, and there's, I see that with great humility, that what I once thought was not cool at all and not Western and not American, that actually what the things she cared about, the sense of community, the sense of our lupa and how do you take care of that, the sense of the children running around, the animals running around freely, the way you grow your plants and take care of that, transportation, all of the parts of it that she was involved in. I saw it with a newfound new set of eyes. And so, with her passing, it was very emotional for me, but a lot of my final letters to her were to thank her that I was able to experience that and now see it in a different lens and say thank you in a way I couldn't as a child. I didn't have the experience or the know-how yet to value those things I do now.
Let's hear it for the women, passing the knowledge on to other women. Let's hear for Lola, passing it on to you. And then just like, it's a legacy of just like female empowerment and like Filipina women empowerment. Just like, if you thought it was not so cool to care about the environment before, now that the world is exploding, now it is. But guess who's been on that already? Lola. So that's incredible. Oh gosh, my mind is blown, guys. How about you?
Absolutely. We're here today with Cristina Padua. We hope you've been enjoying this fifth week of Women's History Month programming here at Rise and Shine with FilAm Creative. I'm with Roni. My mind is blown. And this has been a very inspiring, I mean, all our episodes, like we talked about that last year in our season finale, season 1, like just, I love doing this show because of interviews like this, where, you hear somebody's story, but then it inspires you and you just feel like you can go conquer the world after this because you hear somebody's inspiring story of what they overcame and what they had to achieve and do. So Chris, we have really enjoyed having you on the show today. Just like all our guests, you can come back anytime. And no, it's not just because you're going to send us a bunch of drinks, but you can come back to this show anytime you want to talk about anything you want. We've really enjoyed having you today, Chris, on the show.
Are you following us on socials? What? You're not? How dare you? I mean, you totally should. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We even have a mailing list. We're at Rise and Shine FAC. That's Rise and Shine FAC. Or click like here. It'll take you right there. You don't got to do nothing else. So what are you waiting for? Like us, follow us, subscribe. See you there.
Okay, we're back with the fabulous Cristina Patwa, who's been enjoying some time with us today. Roni, I don't know what happened. We're having some technical difficulties, but hopefully she'll be back at the end to say goodbye.
Yes.
But it's time for everybody's favorite segment. It's 13 Things. Rex and I are going to ask some rapid fire questions to our guests. So before I turn it over to my brother Rex, guest, would you please introduce yourself to our audience?
Oh, that's me. I thought you said Rex and you said guest. Sorry about that.
You're good. You're good.
You're good.
Okay. Hi, I'm Christine. Oh, should I start again?
You're good. You're good. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Cristina Patwa, and I am the CEO and co-founder of Enroot.
All right,
All right.
All right, Christina. We're going to start with some questions here. Okay, so you're an entrepreneur and have worked in business development. Could you recommend us 4 people who've influenced your career path?
So my current business partner of 15 years, John Fogelman. There's a female boss that I had in Wall Street who really looked out for me and who's amazing. And her name is Kathleen Hanrahan. She's a great executive in finance. My grandmother, Pamela Abrina, for very obvious reasons.
Yes.
And my daughter, Kira Lucia Patwa, the most amazing human being in the world.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so now if you were not doing what you're currently doing, what would you be doing instead?
I think I'd be in school, probably wanting to get a PhD and be a professor one day and be among other students.
Oh, wow. That's okay. Cool.
Awesome.
Now, if you could run a nonprofit, what type of cause would it benefit?
So I think, I have had the benefit of doing therapy in my life later on as I was finding, who I am authentically.
Yeah.
And I think I'd want to do something in that space around other people who may have had experiences in childhood trauma and be able to give back in supporting, that difficult journey and just processing, something that challenging.
Wow, that's great. Okay, so what's something peculiar or interesting about you that not a lot of people know about?
So I am that mom that totally embarrasses her daughter. I will still do TikTok dances, and she's like, "Mom," like, literally, like in my 40s, where I'm like, "Oh, Kira, let's do a TikTok together." And she's like, "Mom, really, please don't." I'm like, "Oh yes, we're doing that."
Oh my goodness.
Love it.
That's great. Okay, so now if you could change, since you're in this whole entertainment space and stuff, if you could change one thing about our business in the entertainment space, what would it be?
Oh gosh, I think that we still have a long ways to go around the green lighting process. I'd love more people in the room that are like us, that can say, "Oh, this is a great story to tell, and it's investable. It financially will pay off. We'll get advertisers to like this. The story's there." I'd love for those rooms to be a little bit actually a lot more diverse, but also really have the green lighting power, have people, that make those decisions look and feel more like us. And it's starting, but we're not quite there yet.
I agree. So what's your most favorite or most beautiful place that you've seen in the Philippines?
I still love Boracay. I've gone back so often ever since, it was like there wasn't much there, and then now it's so, developed, but it's still like I still feel so relaxed there. I love it there. It's beautiful.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so then what's the most favorite or most beautiful place you've seen around the world other than the Philippines?
So other than Boracay, my aunt lives in Italy, and I do love the Amalfi Coast there, Capri, Ravello, Positano. Like I love the water. I love, kind of nature like that. It's so beautiful.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so where in the world have you not been to that you want to go see?
My daughter wants to go to Australia and see the outback. I've never done anything like that, so it felt like an adventure. Like that feels cool.
Highly recommended.
Oh, that's cool. I want to go. Yeah.
All right, now I could turn it over to my compadre, Mr. Ed. Go ahead, take away with 13 things.
Thank you, Rex. All right, Chris, we're gonna get a little more intense here. What are your 4 favorite foods or types of foods that you gotta have?
Okay, but you're gonna make me drool, okay? Salmon sushi, which I had 40 pieces of yesterday. Korean wings with the soy garlic, kare kare with the sticky rice, like when it's warm and just comes out. And then the Filipino spaghetti with extra cheese.
All right. Love it. You are indeed a foodie. Love it.
Yes.
All right. Well, I'm gonna make it. This is probably the toughest question of the whole 13 things. You can only have one: corned beef, Spam, or Vienna sausage. Who wins?
Oh man, I feel like this is hurtful to have to choose one. It's like, it's punitive. It's punitive. I think if I had to choose one today, because I think it changes on my mood, today I would pick the corned beef with the onions, with the onions in it. Yeah.
All right. Fair enough.
Nice.
Let's eat balut. Yes or
no?
no?
I can't. I'm sorry. I once tried, but I saw the feathers. I had a whole mental thing. I couldn't do it yet. Sorry.
So far, everything you're saying, I'm with you. So
same here. Same here.
Favorite Filipino dessert?
Leche Flan probably, or brasso. No, Leche Flan. I'll stick with Leche Flan.
Favorite non-Filipino dessert?
Tres Leches cake. Yeah, I still like Leche Flan better though. But yeah, Tres Leches cake's good too.
Okay. Favorite boba?
I like avocado milkshakes without the boba, actually, like in the boba cup, but without the little boba.
Yeah.
Okay. Here, I'll do a audible here. I'll put you on the spot. Your daughter's favorite boba?
Oh, she likes so many. Ube. Her favorite's ube. We always have ube ice cream in our fridge, and she likes ube anything. So ube boba is her favorite too. But she likes it with the boba. Yeah, she actually likes the boba.
I'm now no longer with you. I'm with your daughter. Okay. Favorite chocolate?
I'm old school. I still like Ferrero Rocher when I was little used to be fancy. Like that was for special occasions. And to this day, I still like it. Still tastes like Nutella to me with nuts. So it's still my favorite.
Your go-to?
Yeah, my go-to.
Yes.
All right. Favorite fruit?
Ripe mangoes. Favorite.
Favorite alcoholic beverage?
So I had the pleasure of trying Brad just came out with Fleur de Miraval. It's very pricey, and so I had been avoiding it because it was so pricey. And then I tried it, and now I'm hooked, and I'm upset that I have to actually set aside budget for this because it's that amazing. I haven't had like a rosé champagne like that before, and it just tastes. It tastes vintaged and older. It has that cognac feeling to a champagne. And I'm not a big drinker in general, but that one really is lovely.
That's worth it.
Yeah, that's worth it. Yeah.
Yeah,
All
Ed,
right.
sorry, Ed. So to our audience out there, Brad, she's referring to Brad Pitt, ladies and gentlemen. So
That guy. All right.
that guy, yeah.
All right, Chris, we're going to get a little more personal now.
Okay.
Recommend just one. Name a Filipino or Asian book, movie, show, or music that you're currently into.
So I watch on repeat. I still watch all of Jokoy's specials. I feel like it's healing. His comedy is healing, he just sees what we go through,
Yeah.
and there's something healing and positive about it. It's so feel good that I still watch it on repeat. I like it's still, I know I'm supposed to say something more profound, but it's just the truth,
Oh, it's all good. It's all
Oh,
good.
it's wonderful.
All right. Most memorable, good or bad thing that you ever did on a first date.
So gosh, I wish this wasn't going to be shared like public. I wish there could be like a password protected piece to this part, because it's like no one wants to share embarrassing things. But the screen doors on in patio doors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know how sometimes when the lighting is just right, you can almost not see it.
Mhm.
Oh no.
So one time I crashed right into that, like literally thought it was open, that there wasn't a screen door. And so I just crashed right into it and
Oh,
broke
no.
broke his screen door.
You broke it? Oh my gosh.
We wanted to have a nice patio picnic, and it was like, no, this is not.
Now I got to go to the ER.
Yeah. And so to this day now, I like every time I've been traumatized. Every time I have to check to feel.
You put like the butterfly on your home.
Yes, like to feel if it's in front
Oh
of me,
my
because
gosh.
I now know better, sadly, the hard way.
All right. Well, note here when we all take Chris for this lovely alcoholic beverage she was sharing, no screen doors.
No
Okay?
screen
No screen
doors. No
doors.
screen
They
doors.
they are my enemy. They are my enemy.
Enemy. All right. All right. Next question. Let's play mahjong. How good are you?
I need a refresher. I used to be good as a little kid, but now I need a refresher on the rules,
Mm.
My favorite thing. All right.
Yeah.
You're talking
right,
to a ringer there. Ed's a ringer.
Oh,
so-
I need you to do a tutorial in one of
I
these
will
episodes.
call you after this. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Here we go. 2 more questions. Look directly into the camera. Say something to your haters.
I wish you healing and peace.
You're a very gracious woman. I love it. All right. Last question. Here it is. You get to be the guest host for Rise and Shine with FilAm Creative. You've given Rex and Ed and Roni the day off. Name a Filipino or Asian guest, dead or alive, that you would want to interview and tell us why.
Gosh, that's so hard. I think my grandfather, I didn't know him. He passed away earlier.
Mm.
And I think it took a remarkable man to have a wife that was so entrepreneurial. And I want to know more about that, because I think today, what's exciting about seeing, I have 2 brothers. What's exciting about watching, men who are amazing in my life is that they are going through their own reinvention as well, and kind of redefining what what emotional touch points matter to them too.
Yeah.
And I don't think I got to know my grandfather in a tender way, in the same way I got to really understand. I had the time with my grandmother died right before she turned 96, and I lost my grandfather when he was 55. So I think I would have loved to learn a little bit more about what makes a great man too.
Beautiful, beautiful answer.
Wow.
All right. Well, this has been 13 Things with our guest today. We're so grateful she's with us, Cristina Padua. Chris, can you share with us where we can find you on social media, or maybe Enroot's social media, where we can learn more about you and the things you do?
That'd be great. Thank you guys for the support and the love and the time. We're at Drink Enroot on social media and drinkenroot.com on our website. Thank you guys.
Hey, don't forget that new episodes drop every Tuesday on YouTube, Spotify, or wherever you download your favorite podcast. So don't forget to subscribe to us so you don't miss a single episode.
Awesome. All right. Well, I'm going to do a quick editorial here and just say that it has been a pleasure bringing these 5 great episodes this month, culminating with Chris's episode here. I really, really urge you to, after this episode, to go back to your YouTube or Spotify and check out episodes 40 through 44. This past month, we focused on 5 great sets of guests celebrating Women's History Month and International Women's Day for March 8th. And I personally hope that you have enjoyed these great shows we've done. I know I speak for Rex. I know we speak for Roni, wherever she is. We are going to be back soon. We're going to take a little bit of a hiatus after this because our editor needs a little bit of a break, but we're going to come back in April and we're going to celebrate Earth Day with a fantastic guest and all that good stuff. We have great episodes still planned as we march towards season 2's finale and our 50th episode. Wow.
Oh no, we're going to turn 50.
We're turning 50. Oh my gosh. We're really middle-aged here. So anyway, I really want to thank Chris today for coming out, and thanks to all our guests from Women's History Month. So it's time to put a bow on this. On behalf of our good friend Chris, on behalf of my good friend Roni, my brother Rex, thank you so much for watching.
Ed, we almost made it to the end again.
I heard
we almost
the CEO
made it.
of Enroot, the T is here. And not only am I a big fan of the movie 7 Years of Tibet, I need to shoot my shot. Men. All right. I have the paper. I have the numbers because you know what? Veronica has her own tea. Let me pitch it for you one time.
Why?
Unique New York. Okay, here we go. This is Veronica's bug tea. It's tea for your mind, your body, your soul, and your face. Watch out now. Not only can you drink this, but you can put it on your face and you can look as young as Enroot CEO Cristina Patwa. It is amazing. All natural, cultivated, everything you need. Available in 3 different strengths: decaf, regular, and is this safe to eat? Now, if you are wondering how to support this local venture, I don't have a clear-cut business plan, but I have I got a dream and just some stickers. But if you want to support us, please, we need to make our goal of at least $5,000 so I can find food safe containers that did not used to be hot sauce.
Oh my gosh.
If you want to make a donation, you can donate to just to my personal Venmo, and then I'll let you guys know how it works later on.
Personal Venmo is FilAm Creative, right?
My personal Venmo needs to be FilAm Creative.
Oh no.
That's a bad joke too.
No.
I get paid for the big bucks for that. Also, just to let you guys know, FilAm Creative is birthed, created, conceptualized, and run by these 2 guys over here. And just want to remind you that it is who won the world? Girls. Who run the world? Girls. Get some of your mug tea. Follow us on Instagram. Veronica out.
Ed, we're not paying her, right? We're still not paying her.
I want to be her friend. Can she be my friend? I'm like, she's so fun.